From the Beaver County Auto Studios, it is another live Penguins chat. Hello, I'm Dan Kingerski. Gee, what is going on today, huh? Oh, boy. We are going to we're going to be in it for the next half an hour or an hour, as long as you want to chat. I'm working my LA sources literally live as we go to confirm. It sounds like Carl Hagelin is on his way to L.A. Tanner Pearson and his $3.75 million contract is coming to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pearson really struggling in L.A. this season. Last check, I think he had 1 point in his first 16 games. You'll forgive me, I don't have everything exactly at my fingertips. I'll be checking Google and Hockey DB as fast as possible through a lot of this. But I want to get to your questions and your comments, because not just the trade. This Tanner Pearson trade is not going to be the end-all, be-all. This is not a shakeup. This is an opening salvo, is what this is. The Penguins can wait a couple or a few weeks to see if it settles in and it works, or they cannot. It really is, it's like that. Oh, Bob McKenzie. Thank you, Tanner. Tanner on the live chat confirming it's Hags for Pearson. Let me look up Tanner Pearson's contract, just because I didn't think he'd be on the Penguins' radar. And here's about 3 columns I'm going to write, so bloggers checking in, feel free to steal them and get them up before I can. The Penguin, and I've a bit of a PHN back pat here. For a year, I've been telling you the Penguins are not the fastest team anymore, and they can't win on speed. I feel like for over a year I've been telling you that. And I appreciate everyone now acting like it's common knowledge, but anywho, I wouldn't mind sending a few of the people who like to beat me up. Hey, remember when you said I was wrong? They say it enough anyway. But Pearson is obviously not going to be as fast as Hagelin. He's not going to bring that same game. But this is actually the good thing. The Penguins were living in a bit of a delusional state, thinking they were still the speed team. They're not. When they went to the cycle and played heavy against Toronto is when they had success. When they simplified the game against Washington is when they had success. I don't really count the Arizona game, only because Arizona should have buried the Penguins, quite frankly. A couple of those go past DeSmith on Saturday. That's a completely different game. The Penguins thought they got their statement win. Essentially, all they got was a breather against a bad team. So let me check Tanner Pearson's contract here. Let me put this over here so I'm not staring away from you or looking away from the mic. Pearson, he obviously has some beef to him at 201 pounds, 6'1" left winger, 26 years old. He is signed through 2021, so the Penguins will get this season and 2 more control of Pearson. They're not really losing a lot of control on Hagelin, obviously, who is going to be a free agent this summer. Hagelin served his purpose. He did his job well. In fact, there would not have been a Stanley Cup without the HBK line, and he was a huge part of that, his puck retrieval. But there's just been kind of there's been something missing with Hagelin's game for quite some time. His penalty killing has been limited. It's been contained. We haven't seen the same aggressive PK that we used to see with Hagelin when he was killing penalties against the Penguins, and even when he first came to Pittsburgh. And, so I guess the trade tree, going from Pearson to Hagelin to David Perron. I'm trying to think of how the Penguins got David Perron. Maybe some of you on the chat can help me out. I'm trying to think, who was it to St. Louis that pried David Perron out? Anyway. And let's see here. Yeah, Hagelin's. Hagelin just hasn't finished whatsoever. And my phone is blowing up. You ought to see like just text after text. Like seriously, friends, you know I'm doing this show live at noon. Stop. But so we'll see. Now with that speed, I wonder how the Penguins are going to play this in terms of the lineup. Does Pearson just slot right beside Malkin? And they go Pearson, Malkin, Hornquist, or Pearson, Malkin, Kessel? Or do they see what Pearson has beside Sidney Crosby first and drop Jake Gensel down a line? It's going to be really interesting to me to see quite what they do with Pearson, because he's a big body, and the Penguins. I've got idiots who are texting me. Who'd they trade him for? Well, watch the live chat, right? Let me check here. One quick thing. Okay. Looks like the Penguins are done. Maybe, kind of, sort of. People start tossing different things at you. You're watching me work live here. And I wish we could have delayed this an hour, but I didn't want to. I wanted to get right into this because the Penguins are a mess. Let's just dive into that as the Tanner Pearson stuff sort of shakes out, so to speak. Oh, darn it. Clicked on the wrong thing here. I'm trying to bring up something for you all. Anywho. Damn it. Oh, one more word. Nope, I guess I'm not going to get what I want. Anyway, welcome everyone for joining the chat. Let's talk a bit about this Penguins mess because Pearson isn't going to fix it. He's a nice step if he can come in and bring that effort that the Penguins are lacking. Let's start there. Mike Sullivan has been extolling and pushing his team for that swagger, that attitude. I think what he really meant was determination. The Penguins have been determined to play their game almost against their coach's wishes. What you have is a locker room of guys who are 29 to 32 years old, who won a couple Stanley Cups one way, really enjoyed that, really enjoyed playing offensive hockey. And I think by and large, they've been carried away with themselves. They made excuses for themselves last year. Mike Sullivan said that straight up. He called them rationalizations. I'll call them excuses. They were continually making excuses last season. Okay, they got through that. They come into this season, but not a lot has changed. The odd man breaks are now creeping back into their game because forwards are not covering defensemen. Last night, Phil Kessel played probably, he has been really bad over this stretch. He's had a couple nice moments, playing with Crosby, actually. And I know you hate anytime anyone says anything bad about Phil Kessel, you think we're trying to run him out of town. But let's be honest here. Let's strip away the rose-colored glasses. He's been really bad for 5 or 6 games. I believe he was, perhaps still is dealing with a minor lower body injury. However, the second goal last night, which we diagrammed for you on Twitter. In fact, I can pull that up here. I should be able to pull that up fairly easily. And let me get Oh, boy, see? You'll forgive me on this chat being a little scattered since everything broke at like 10 to noon and 5 to noon. And I don't know why I'm not getting my laptop on the broadcast. Oh, there it is. Thank good Lord. Okay. So, good gosh almighty, just something work with me here, please. I just don't understand. Okay, give me the laptop camera. There. Was that so hard? No, it wasn't. And it took it away. Okay, anyway, Phil Kessel stayed on the wall last night for that second goal against the Devils. Literally, the play is going back around the net. The Devils have it. Kessel is still kind of almost leaning on the wall. And then he realized his man, the point man, Damon Severson, was wide open top of the slot. And then he tried to catch up quickly, but by that point, Severson was stepping into a one-timer, blew it past DeSmith. And I thought that was just indicative of where his play has been. And on the third goal, Dumoulin covered the wrong guy. Dumoulin should have probably stayed high, middle of the zone, let Kessel take Blake Coleman through the neutral zone. But I didn't necessarily see any motivation on Kessel's part to take Coleman. He was kind of trailing him. So it would have been a 2-on-1. It was just a calamity of errors on that play. And I think Kessel is one of the guys Rutherford has circled as one of the guys who's one of the solutions to this. I didn't put much about this in today's column. The Penguins are a mess, available on PittsburghHockeyNow.com. But if he's going to be a solution, he's got to be a solution. He has to step into that as opposed to being a detraction. Because Kessel can be a detractor. Make no mistake about it. When Kessel is unhappy or is not feeling it or not playing well, it trickles through the rest of the team. That's just kind of a given, is it not? And so, yeah, I am trying to find a bit more about Tanner Pearson. I see some of you asking me that. Just what I've seen a few years ago in the Stanley Cup final. And I don't want to necessarily take that as gospel. He was 23, the last time the Kings were really in the Stanley Cup. And the Kings haven't been really worth watching for the last couple years. I mean, he's a smart kid. He was smart then. I assume he's still a smart guy now. And he's a shooter. You know what? Let me take a look at his shot total here. 24 shots in 17 games. That's no good. But career stats-wise, you look at his shots. Last season, 180 shots. 187 before that. He's a shooter. And he's defensively responsible. I guess he's not that physical, is he? Looking at his hit total and some of the scouting reports, he's not physical. So he's solid. Let's call him that. So did the Penguins get another zippy winger who's not going to hit anybody, who's just going to shoot the puck? Looks like it. Looks like that's what they're going to be plugging in here. So, Justin, that's what I can tell you. I think any player can kill penalties. I can't necessarily look up right now the time he's spent shorthanded. Actually, I guess I can. I go to NHL.com and check the last LA Kings game or LA Kings schedule. This is a goofy chat, isn't it? We're just flying by the seat of our pants. Getting back into the mess, though. It's been determination. It's been effort that the Penguins have been lacking. Now, turning the page to the other part of the Penguins' defensive core without Justin Schultz has been brutal. It's just been at times difficult to watch. Mata-Alexiak pairing should never be. Unfortunately, the Alexiak the Mata-Johnson pairing was terrible as well. So right now, Olli Mata is kind of burning through bridges on places he can play in the lineup. Mata Riikola wasn't anything I want to see again either. And sure, I mean, I guess Mata is the common thread there. But Alexiak with Mata has not played up to snuff. So the Penguins really have a bunch of NHL defensemen, but none of whom fit together, aside Letang and Johnson or Letang and Dumoulin. After that, it's all just a crapshoot from night to night on what they're going to get. That has been a major issue as well. If you've got defensemen not able to move the puck to the forwards, that's as equally as bad as forwards not coming back to help defensemen. And overall, I just feel like the Penguins are a mess right now. Jim Rutherford, we'll have that on Pittsburgh Sports Live, his comments from just about half an hour ago now, or even less than half an hour. So he doesn't think the Penguins will get as bad as Chicago and Los Angeles and missing the playoffs. He says they're not there yet. But boy, it sure feels like staring into the abyss, doesn't it? So hop onto that chat board, will you? Hey, Dan, 3 cups with this core, and now they're in their 30s. Have Pens got the most out of them? Is it time to rebuild and trade while value is still there? Good question, Chris. Can you imagine if the Penguins took the Florida Marlins route and then dealt Malkin, dealt Kessel, dealt Letang to rebuild? Can you imagine what would happen? I don't think the Penguins fan base would stand for it. Even if they got great young players in return, I don't think the Penguins fan base, which is largely about the jerseys more than it is about hockey. It's about what player you like on Facebook more than it is about what happens on the ice surface a lot of times in the Penguins fan world. And I know for a certainty that Penguins upper management recognizes this as well. They may soften eventually, but the Penguins' upper management knows full well where their bread is buttered and what people are paying to see. And I don't think they would take that hit. So would I? Boy, I'd dabble into it, Chris. To answer your question, yes. Aside from Sidney Crosby, I don't know that anybody else would be absolutely untouchable. It'd be tough to get Letang off of my roster right now because I think he's back and he's playing extraordinarily well. He would be a steep ask if somebody came marching. Same with Malkin, obviously, because I think Malkin has a good 5-6 years in him as well at an elite level. Everybody else, I would certainly consider literally everyone else. Let's see here. Leaf Dog says you don't tear it down. You can't keep finding generational players in the draft. Have to keep surrounded stars with fresh, young, hungry faces to get to their game. Truth to that as well, Leaf Dog. The Penguins' fresh, young faces are now veterans. Brian Rust, Carl Hagelin, Connor Sherry is gone. And what other youngsters were in on that 16 run? Who am I forgetting? Tom Kuhnackel. And whatever fourth liner, Carter Rowney, who wasn't so young but still a fresh face, had that determination. Thank you, Brad. Brad reminds me that the Pens got Perron from the Oilers for a first-round pick, and Colonel Rob Klinkhammer. Oh, and how did they get Klinkhammer? Come on, Brad. How'd they get? That was just a pick, as I recall. That wasn't a big deal. But there we go. So the Penguins are a bit of a disheveled mess, and they're going to have to fix the decor. I think now that the Pearson Hagelin deal is done, they're going to have to bring in a true right side defenseman. Ruedel is a nice player, and if you roll with him on your third pairing, 14 minutes a night, maybe in some sheltered minutes, perfectly serviceable. Sullivan said it last night, or rather, I guess yesterday morning. Jamie Alexiak's game is better when he's simple. He's in his own zone, when he's defending and being physical. Those are not the things that a successful right side defenseman does in a Penguin system. Now, all of the defensemen have told me that the system doesn't, have differences, left or right defensemen. And so I guess to a certain extent, I'm wrong when I say that. But I also know how things work in real life. Chris Letang on the right side, Justin Schultz on the right side, Chad Ruedel on the right side. When those guys are going and pushing the puck, the Penguins are going. Fine, if they want to get a left side defenseman who can push the puck, that would be just fine as well. But they need, their decor just needs a shot in the arm in the worst way. So that contributes to the mess, to the many Twitter tweets and Facebook responses we got last night and everything. No, Mike Sullivan is not part of the problem here. I know it's a knee-jerk reaction and things struggle. Fire the coach! I'm going to be polite and not call anybody stupid for saying that. I'm thinking it. Does that count? No. If you throw out fire Sullivan, I'm just going to know that you're throwing poo against the wall. There's no correlation between Mike Sullivan's job and what's going on with the Penguins. It's a roster thing. Jim Rutherford, and let me speak to Jim Rutherford here a little bit as well, because I see a lot of the bloggers now piling on Jim Rutherford today. And again, that would be an incorrect assessment. Rutherford had a bad offseason last year. This year, he rectified the situation. Jack Johnson is a solid. If you think Jack Johnson's a bad player, just stop reading hockey. Stop it. I am tired. I'm going to vent a little bit now. I'm tired of the stupidity just hurled. He was on the ice for 5 goals against. Moving along. His Corsi is bad. Moving along. But there's a lot of bloggers who don't understand the difference between hockey and those advanced stats. There's a lot, and so they just keep hurling it. And I know, and I don't expect a lot of fans to be sophisticated enough to know the difference. And so they get this information presented to them, and they're angry, and they eat it up with a spoon. Don't be that. Don't be gullible. I think here's a great chance to raise the game. No, Johnson's not a puck guy. Never going to be. But he does a lot of things really well in his own zone. He's got a hard shot. So playing with Letang is actually a nice compliment. He can provide the physical, let Letang do the offense. He can be a trailer and let a few bombs go. I've liked that pairing quite a bit. And since the first couple or a few games when he was with, Jack Johnson was with Ole Mata, he's been a very solid defenseman for the Penguins. So hanging that around Jim Rutherford's neck, just no. And I've even seen people criticizing re-signing Matt Cullen. Have you seen the fourth line the last few games? I'm going to veer into two big topics here. Stay with me. Have you seen the fourth line the last couple of games? Few games. Since Zach Aston-Reese and Garrett Wilson took the wings on that line. Gee, doesn't Matt Cullen look a lot better than when he was saddled with Daniel Sprong, who would stand and watch Cullen dig for a puck? Very specifically, note Mike Sullivan's words last night, you can't win puck battles when your third stick is not joining the battle. Hint, Daniel Sprong. And the Penguins' fourth line was abysmal. Now that they've made that change, they're getting some offensive push on that line. I actually think Zach Aston-Reese, might get bumped up a line because he's playing so well. We'll see. But that whole Daniel Sprong thing was literally hurting the team. Give him a shot in the top six. Why would you give a guy a shot in the top six when he can't handle the bottom three? Can't handle the responsibilities of playing against scrubs? Other teams' bad players? Bringing down his center, Matt Cullen? Just circle that and think about that if you're one of those people who think Sprong had to be on the top line. And then hit yourself in the head with the tack hammer. Let's get back to the chat board. I'm wound up today, can you tell? A little bit more of a Bud Moonshine coming out. Is the trade today simply to motivate players or is a long-term fix? We'll find out. Rutherford has made deals and then made more deals to fix the first deal that didn't work out. So I think Pearson will get a good shot in the Penguins' top six. I think you'll see him there. Maybe you see him on the third line with Riley Sheahan to start. Just who would play left wing? Let's see here. Yeah, I guess he has to be top six left wing, doesn't Pearson? If you keep Genzel on the left side, who would play left beside Malkin? I don't think you want Simone there. So, yeah, you'll see Pearson in the six. All right. I want to check Twitter as well. You can always tweet me at the Dan Kingerski as well. My friend's still texting to ask who the Penguins traded. It's like, do you have Google, man? They just all assume that I am the hockey guy. Let's get to a bit of Matt Murray and Casey DeSmith, shall we? Because I think this is an interesting discussion point for kind of looking at, as you know, the Penguins are struggling, are they not? And in fact, here is the Pittsburgh Hockey Now article, I should say. Oh, the laptop went away again. Anyway, like Letterman. On PittsburghHockeyNow.com. Well, many of you are probably too young to get the Letterman stuff anyway. Yeah, Matt Murray has to also reclaim his position. The Penguins are not going to go far if they're relying on Casey DeSmith. DeSmith is playing so well right now. But you began to see a little bit more of the real DeSmith last night in his third straight start. The Devils' first goal, he misplays the puck. The Penguins actually had defended it well. Johnson pushed his man to the side of the cage. DeSmith was able to see the shot. The puck was laying there. DeSmith doesn't get the trapper on it. Taylor Hall swoops through and grabs the loose puck. Simone was a little bit out to lunch. He should have seen that coming, but he also assumed that DeSmith had the puck. So Simone, I think, relaxed, assuming that the play at that point was dead. So I'm reticent to give Simone much criticism on that play. If you're just joining us, yes, the Penguins did trade Tanner Pearson for Carl Hagelin, and we're waiting on some of my LA sources just to kind of tell us where Pearson is. In fact, give me a second here, just to reply to one of my LA guys. Glad you can't see my laptop now. Otherwise, I would have burned a source. So, anywho, Matt Murray, Casey DeSmith. DeSmith, long-term, probably doesn't project as a starting goaltender, but he could be a Carter Hutton type. He could well develop into that Carter Hutton, Brian Elliott type, which would be, I think, a huge win for the Penguins. But they think they've got their franchise goalie in Matt Murray. And so Murray has to, whatever is ailing him, mindset, mechanics, he has to find it. And he's not very happy right now. Murray doesn't necessarily say a lot to the media, but he doesn't blow us off either. There were a couple of reporters, Shelley Anderson, Jason Mackey of the Post-Gazette, Wes Crosby of NHL.com, among the crew yesterday who asked to speak with Matt, and he's like, no, I've got to go catch the plane. But there were a lot of players still in the locker room. So it was a polite dodge. It was Murray wanting to just not be a part of answering those questions, and I get it. Believe me, I think Murray has been tremendous with the media, despite, he got a lot of garbage tossed at him early. A lot of praise, but also a lot of garbage because he wasn't Marc-Andre Fleury. And when Fleury left, it was all Fleury. So I can see where he's been a little keeping the media folks a little bit at bay. And goaltenders naturally do that as well. They don't talk on game days and such. So what to do with the Penguins' goaltending? I think that would go a long way into stabilizing things, too. If Murray can come back and be that franchise goaltender that they're so desperately hoping. By the way, Murray's contract expires in about 18 months. Which means the Penguins can start negotiating with him on July 1st this year. Well, after this season. What would you do? What would you do in current state? Isn't that an interesting conversation? Let's see here. I say we trade Murray for Fleury 1-for-1, says Brian. There you go, Bing. I almost gave the okay sign. And I read yesterday that that's not cool anymore. You can't make the okay sign because some idiot racists have adopted. How do racists take a signal like okay and make that part of their deal? But I'll just give you a thumbs up. All right. Brian says Sprong will definitely be the next to go. He's been given plenty of chances to prove himself. It's just that the Pens are too stacked in the top six forwards, and he can't crack the lineup to get the time he needs. Brian, you're half right. If they dumped Daniel Sprong in the top six for 2 weeks, it still wouldn't make a darn bit of difference. In fact, it would even hurt the team worse. Matt Cullen was a perfectly adequate playmaking center with speed to play with Daniel Sprong, and Sprong still just... no. Look at the difference between Zach Aston-Reese and Daniel Sprong. Just look at the difference, Brian, what that fourth line is capable of doing now. And Sprong did play with Sidney Crosby for a few weeks in training camp, and the Penguins said, no, not going to happen. They kept Dominic Simone there. I'll just open that can of worms, set it right there, and walk away. I'll let some of you just punch yourselves out. Because whenever you mention Dominic Simone, there's a big chunk of the fan base that just goes ballistic. Oh, he's terrible. And they don't understand all that he brings to the game. Let me scroll through some of the questions here. I guess I've addressed most of these, and I appreciate you all hanging with us here. Do me a favor, jump onto the chat board. Don't be a lurker. Fire your questions, your comment. Even if I tear into you a little bit, I still love you for being here. And we're still buds, and if you still see me out, the beer is still on me, even if you ask me why Sprong isn't playing with Crosby. The beer is still on me when you find me at one of my little watering holes. So I think, wow, I've done 36 minutes already. I think we've kind of gone through the trade. Pearson is a guy with good speed, but he's really struggling to score at this point in his career. Part of that is the L.A. Roster. Part of that, just change of scenery kind of deal. Inconsistent guy, but just shoots the puck. Shoots. So given Sullivan's little bit mini tirade last night of get the puck to the net, they went and got a guy. One thing we haven't talked about, Jim Rutherford's 3-year extension. I was chatting with one of my scout friends this morning about when they announced the extension. And what the scout, who doesn't work for the Penguins or in the NHL, but certainly has to scout them enough, said was, this is the best thing that could happen. My initial thought was, okay, they're signing Rutherford to a 3-year deal. He probably has a couple big ones in the hopper. Jim Rutherford probably has some big trades in the hopper, but in the last year of a contract, you're like, well, if these don't pan out perfectly, I'm out of a job. So he walks down the hall. I'm speculating. I'm guessing. I don't know any of this. I want to be crystal clear on that. This is just what I've seen in other organizations or when I've been a part of organizations. The GM says to the ownership or the president says, yeah, I can do more. I'm not going to go through this. I'm not going to take public slings and arrows. I'm not going to try to rebuild your club if I don't get to see it through. I want an extension. And the Penguins looked at GMJR and said, well, yeah, you deserve it. Here you go. If you don't think Jim Rutherford deserves an extension, again, perhaps one of the smaller blogs you'd be happier with. Rutherford has done a spectacular job. In 2017, the summer of 17, he didn't. I still am mystified a bit over Riley Sheahan's continued exaltation as a third-line center. That just isn't working on any level whatsoever. But Matt Cullen and Jack Johnson were good off-season gets. They made the Penguins better. Justin Schultz injury makes the defense look a lot worse than it really is, but the Penguins have to fix that because, and Rutherford may be fixing this, I would not be surprised to see Alexiak or Mata on the move in the very near future as well, because even when Schultz comes back, let's say mid-February, he's going to need 2-3 weeks to get in good game shape. And then he's going to need more time to get his timing back. You might not see a real Justin Schultz until late March. And that's playing with fire because right then you roll right into the playoffs. It could work out great where he's fresh and ready to go, or he could be struggling. He could be mired in a slump looking for his timing and putting some pressure on himself. It would be hugely beneficial to the Penguins to have another real right-sider. And I think you dangle Mata, you dangle Alexiak. If I were a rival GM, I would take Alexiak with open arms. I would wrap my arms around that guy because he's going to be good. He's still a bit inconsistent. His game still gets loose at times. I think that's what Sullivan means. I think Sullivan and I are talking the same language when he says his game is better when it's simple. I'm saying the problem with Alexiak is it gets loose. Same coin, I think. And when he's on the right side, he begins, I think, to press a little bit for offense, and he's just got to adhere to the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. Just do what you do well and let the rest take care of itself. All right, hello, Dad. That's actually the guy on the chat board here. It says, how well is this Pearson guy? Does he compare to anyone else? I might compare him a bit to Brian Rust. I don't think Pearson is as fast. Pearson, I think the one thing, let me see if my LA guy shot back. Hasn't yet. Pearson is a really smart player. And heck, actually, now that I say that out loud, maybe he does play with Sidney Crosby. But he shoots the puck. He's a smart player, not overly physical. Good feet. That's Pearson. And I never did hop on to NHL.com to finish looking to see if Pearson played shorthanded in the last game. Let me do that now. So, need some drinking music. I'm actually getting a little bit parched. You do 45 minutes, no commercials. By the way, speaking of commercials, if you can, if you're in the new car search for the next few months, please, we do a whole lot of hard work at Pittsburgh Hockey Now and Pittsburgh Sports Live. Just give these guys a shot. Every car dealer says they're great, they're fantastic, that it smells like roses when they fart. However, we all know that car dealers are in business. We like these guys. The guys up at Beaver County Auto are pretty straight shooters, pretty good guys. If they've got what you want, make the drive up there and they'll take care of you, especially if you tell them that we sent you. So there's my little pitch. Certainly not polished, not a polished commercial, but I hope you take it. I mean, they are really good guys up there, and they've treated us extremely well. So we happily endorse them even before they came on board. But it's nice to have them on board, certainly. Okay, so LA Kings schedule. They lost to the Maple Leafs 5-1 last night, and the ice time isn't here. Oh, you're killing me, Whitey. You're killing me. Like the old NFL films. So I'm going to make a few clicks here. Don't go anywhere. Fire away some questions while I do this. Feel free to Tuesday. There we go. Where are the Kings? Where are the Kings? There we go. Game Center. I can't wait till everything's voice activated. I can just say LA Kings, Tanner Pearson, shorthanded. Wouldn't that be just cool? Event summary. There we go. Dun, dun, dun. Tanner Pearson. Where are you, kid? All right. Pearson is not killing penalties for the LA Kings. So we can cross that off the list. Oh, there's an interesting name. Puljujarvi in Edmonton is being shuffled around the lineup, fourth line, etc. Would Chiarelli consider swapping him for Sprong? No. And the reason for that is Puljujarvi is an NHL player and Sprong hasn't yet proven that. The expectations around Pittsburgh for Sprong are as unfair to the player as keeping him in his rookie year was. Just in real blunt terms, which I've been tossing a lot of, haven't I? Keeping Daniel Sprong, the kid should have 2 more years in the American Hockey League, and he should be down in Wilkes-Barre. I actually think in short order, if the Penguins try to send him to Wilkes-Barre, I think he'll clear. I really do. I think if somebody had offered anything tangible for Daniel Sprong beyond, say, a 6th-round pick, I think you would have seen Sprong on the move. But no GM is going to do that because they're just there's a very good chance that whatever team acquires Sprong is not going to get any value in return. It's pure 100% hope and chance. And that's just as much as I can say on trading Daniel Sprong. I don't know that he gets traded. I think the best scenario for him is to clear waivers and go down to Wilkes-Barre to really work on his game, to really get in the flow, to really start to feel like he's contributing, like he matters again, to get some confidence, some swagger, to find his professional game. I broke down his game last January in Wilkes-Barre, and the goals he was scoring a lot on the power play, a lot on his back foot, high slot one-timers from like the beyond the hash marks on his back foot. Sure, he whipped them past American Hockey League goalies, but you're not beating an NHL goalie like that. And more to the point, you're not getting open for that shot in the NHL. So there's that, and I think that I may have just kind of stumbled onto the best explanation for a lot of this, is that whole getting open, that whole finding the spots, that whole playing away from the puck. Everything about that game, I think, befuddled Daniel Sprong in the NHL anyway. Everything about that was absolutely foreign and new to him, and it was almost like dropping tabs of Alka-Seltzer in a glass of warm water. And it just, everything is fizzing, everything is, kind of going on around him. I don't know that the game ever slowed down. Even when I praised him a couple weeks ago because he kind of puffed his chest out and said, I'm going to do this. And I had a little chat with him. I'm like, go for it, man. That's awesome. But in very short order, whether he got discouraged or it didn't happen, he began to shrink back in very short order, and the Penguins yanked him right out of the lineup. And we haven't seen him since. So there's, I think I've covered everything. If I emptied the cachet in terms of the Penguins' mess, in terms of the Penguins' defense, what the Penguins' defense is doing well, actually, is defending their own zone. Chad Ruhwedel's had some nice moments. Rush on the rush. And since I've got so many of you with me here still, I'll keep going. I'll keep on adding, keep on coming. Share this on social media. Bring your friends in. Fire questions away. I've got no problem with. I can talk Penguins for 3 hours if I have to. In fact, I did it a couple times on the Fan. And I wonder why the new boss said, Dan, I don't think you know anything about the Steelers. I'm like, well, just because I talked about the Penguins for 3 hours. Anywho. Where was I about? Totally lost my train of thought there. But the Penguins' defense, though, has done a nice job in so much as defending their own zone, except for one pairing each night. They're always one pairing short. That's the huge problem. Ruhwedel has had some nice. Oh, that's where I was going with this. The rushes. We talked about this on the chat last week. I've written a little bit about this. I don't know if I've driven the point home yet. Sullivan talked about it last night, I think really for the first time in great detail. New Jersey was getting 3 guys back. They took the rush away. They did it 10 days ago against the Penguins. Other teams have done it. The Islanders did it. Montreal did it. The teams that haven't done it, Washington and Arizona. Go figure. For whatever reason, those teams didn't drop back, pack the zone, take the rush away from the Penguins. And this is where you're seeing that stubbornness where the Penguins just keep trying to force it. Sullivan called them lateral plays. I've used different terms for it, same difference. When they've got the zone packed, you can't toss the cross-ice pass. You can't make a pretty play when they own the slot. All you can do is draw them into a battle down low or shoot the puck on net and hope that you can get two guys into the crease, into those dirty areas, and win a puck battle for it. That's really all you can do. And you get a couple of those goals. You get one, you get two in the blue paint, as they say. That forces the other team then to play with you. Then the rush opens up, but not before. That's a huge issue with the Penguins. And that's why Malkin and Kessel can't play together anymore. Because when they're together, they're not shooting the puck, they're passing it. They had a nice little run, but they fell back into their old ways. That is why Hornquist is on the line with Malkin and probably Tanner Pearson now. Shoot the puck. That also forces the other team to collapse. And if you can win that puck battle for that loose puck, that rebound down low, now the top of your zone is open. Now that low to high game opens up. And now a guy like Jack Johnson, who isn't necessarily good with the puck, but has those skills, can stand at the top of the zone and just plow through guys with his shot. It's like a tree cutter, his slap shot from the blue line. Just, it hurts when you try to block a Jack Johnson shot. So those are the X's and O's of it, and I wish I had some video for you here to do that, but we can't use highlights for one, and two, everything has kind of gone crazy. Theodore notices, hey, Dan, no glasses. Yeah, they're sitting over here on the table. I can see. I'm not blind as a bat. I can see just fine. I can read, but I don't. I like the glasses look. Someone told me a couple days ago that if they didn't know me, they would assume I was a yuppie hipster. I was like, really? Or far left wing. They're like, yeah, you look like you're really far on the. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to talk politics here, but no, I'm not. Let's see, who else do we have here? Let's see. Off topic, but Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins Twitter just tweeted Tristan Jarry goal? Tristan Jarry goal. Did he just score a goal? Wait, what? All right, kids, I've done just about an hour here. Here's your last call for questions and comments in the next minute, because I do want to wrap this up, and actually I want to get some lunch, eh? So, anywho, the Penguins going forward are going to have to, and it's non-negotiable. The coach has gone to the whip. The GM has gone to the whip. The horse has to gallop. They are going to have to throw the kitchen sink at Tampa on Thursday. They're going to have to bury Ottawa on Saturday. They're going to have to respond to this, or there are going to be some real changes. Pearson for Hagelin is a start, but that's not the whole enchilada. There's going to be big stuff if they don't respond. And I still think there might be big stuff even if they partially respond, because I don't know that they have the trust of the management right now. I think management might think if they don't make more moves, this team will fall back into its old ways within a month or two, pay lip service, but not necessarily be able to go full bore. And that happens when guys are together for 5 or 6 years, or even 3 or 4, like the Penguins have been. All right, so, Brad says Jarry did score a goal. All right, way to go, Jarry. I like that guy. He's a lot of fun to talk to as well. This summer, let's just say Jarry was not buying green bananas. or unpacking his suitcase. Not because the Penguins told him that, but because I think he just assumed he was on his way out of town. And obviously that was the furthest thing from the truth, but he's a good kid, and he's a lot of fun. Wish him nothing but success. All right, so that is gonna do it. I apologize for the dry chat here. Couldn't get the laptop on screen, and everything kind of broke, which screwed up what we had planned for the chat anyway. As always, appreciate you all. Like and share it. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, click that red subscribe button and pass the word around if you can. Please pass the word around, because now we're into that second phase of growth. We're not the new toy in the toy box anymore, and things slow down. We need your help to drive it forward. We're going to have a lot more stuff in the near future. We're still working on the studio behind you, or behind, yeah, not this part, but that part over there on that side of the studio. We need more equipment. We thought we had enough last weekend. We set it all up and realized we had to order a few more things. So hopefully by this weekend, it will be done. You'll see a lot more shorter videos, targeted videos, and we're going to be having a lot more fun as well. So thank you all. Until we talk again real soon, have fun.